We're living in a world that's heating up, and we know we're not immune to it here in the Northwest. How many of you have air conditioners in your home now when you really didn't need them in the 80s, and definitely not even when I moved here in the early 90s? Researchers and leaders are starting to take a close look at hotspots in our communities and what we can do about it. Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas counties teamed up along with more than 100 volunteers to map areas of the metro. Volunteers attached equipment to their cars and then all drove around a predetermined route 3 times on a single day last July. They collected 269,000 temperature readings from the ground as they drove.
And we drove around on the hot day, and even just sitting in our cars from the morning to the final shift of mapping, we noticed how hot it was. So it was really great to see that that data would be tracked in real time and used for something in the future.
With the data, researchers were able to put together a heat map of the area and see which places are hotter than others at the same time of day. Let's see if this surprised you. Here's the morning map. The blue areas are less than 60 degrees, and yellow and light orange are right around 60 degrees. The orange areas are 61 to 63. You can see in the morning, Northeast Portland was much warmer than the rest of the area. By the afternoon, we'd warmed up to the mid-80s, but you can see there's some pockets where it's much cooler. Northwest Portland, where Forest Park is, did not get out of the 70s on that day. And in general, the west side of Portland was cooler than the east side. And by the evening, the west side had cooled off much faster than the east side. Northeast Portland and the area along I-205 held on to the temperature of 85 to 87 degrees. The researchers can zoom into the map and see how the heat affects specific neighborhoods as well, which is kind of cool. And they can take a look at what's in those neighborhoods that's contributing to the way they hold on to heat. Now, the west side of Portland has, wait for it, a lot more trees. And the researchers say that really does help keep it a lot cooler there. And they say the areas that took longer to cool off had lower buildings and a lot more pavement. Sort of makes sense. It's called the urban heat island effect.
And if you think about stuff like concrete, the bricks that are in our part of our hardscape, part of our built environment, those retain heat during the day and they radiate it out at night. And so that's the phenomenon that we were able to map here.
Pretty interesting. Overall, they found a 17-degree difference between the hottest and the coolest areas recorded. The overall high temperature that day was 92 degrees, but in the afternoon reading, some areas recorded 94 degrees and others only 77. So what do we do with this information? Well, the researchers say it'll go toward planning things in the short term, like where to locate cooling shelters on hot days, and it'll help healthcare workers do outreach to vulnerable people who live in the hotter areas. Over the long term, it'll inform decisions like tree planting, pavement removal, and building codes.